Hey guys, we're at Thursday. We're getting towards the end of another week of lockdown, but like I said at the start of the week, we've had a bit of good news, so it is a bit of a countdown now. So the end is in sight, hopefully. So all's a bit more positive, I think. And I don't know, even though you can't really do much the weekends feel like a bit of a blessing at the minute. So yeah, anyway. Let's crack on with today, tennis chat with Galps, or whatever I want to call it. Yeah, anybody who sees my Twitter posts, again, I've got my Twitter up and running. It is just my name, Sean Galpin. For anybody that wants to follow me on Twitter, that would be cool. I posted yesterday that my video today would be a little bit of a review of the Control the Controllables 100th podcast with Nick Bollettieri, and also that I would talk about Sir Andy Murray, and what his future holds, and maybe my opinions on that. So that is going to be the core of the chat today. A few little things at the end, and maybe one little skill to go home with. If you're doing the skill as well, you need to be sat on some form of chair or on the floor, maybe not on the floor, some form of chair to have a go at the skill. I did it, and I rehearsed it just before I started this, and I actually did it. This is where I'll probably go wrong and won't be able to do it, but I'll give myself a few goes anyway. So yeah, anyway, so without further ado, let's crack on. So anybody that doesn't know, hasn't watched this, or hasn't heard me, or I'm a big advocate of the Control the Controllables podcasts. They're with Dan Keenan, who is former county player, former doubles British #1, but I shared in a team with him. I played in a team with him. I've known him for quite a long time, certainly when I was in my younger days, when I was like 16, 17 onwards, trained with him a little bit, so there is a connection there, obviously, local North East lads, and obviously got a couple of North East lads working for him who I know pretty well. So yeah, but it isn't just a bias thing. I do think it's the best tennis podcast out there by quite some way. I think he conducts them great, the guests he get on are great, and it just tends to be more of a chat in my opinion, which is why I like it so much. If you haven't listened to it already, I would try and go, like I say, towards the start of it, and listen to a lot of them, some great ones. Mark Petchey stands out, Dan Evans obviously stands out if you haven't done it. But this one was with Nick Bollettieri. For anyone who doesn't know, Nick Bollettieri, I keep saying Bollettieri. Nick Bollettieri, 89 years old now, nearly 90. It's Bollettieri's in America, Bradenton, and now it's called the IMG Academy. He started it up, worked with players like Agassi, Graf, I think, Haas, the Williams, Hingis, all sorts of players. Melise, who again was on the Australian Open review and has been on the podcast as well. So, yeah, a quick little review on it. First of all, if anybody does listen to it, challenge yourself to see how many times the guy says baby during the podcast. I actually didn't count, but I think it's something we should try and do. I would guess it was over 30. I might be wrong, but he is one of the most positive people out there, and he adds baby at the end of pretty much most of his sentences when he's talking about tennis and coaching and things. So yeah, I think, again, I like to be honest in these chats. The guy's crazy, but he admits that himself. Not just because he's 89, by the way. I think he was crazy 20, 30 years ago as well. He's always been like that. He's eccentric. I think it was a very tough podcast for Dan. Actually, running, I thought Dan did a great job, some great questions, and actually just let him speak, which, again, he was more than happy to do, and you just have to let him take over, I think. I don't think there's too much to say. I think there's an aura about Bollettieri. Like him, love him, know him, or don't know him. There's an aura, respect him as a coach, think he got lucky, whatever it would be, there is an aura that goes about him. So yeah, some of the things I did love about the podcast, his memory is phenomenal, and when he reeled off like strengths and weaknesses of players, and he just went through like Agassi backhand, to my favourite shot in the world, by the way. Anyone who knows me will know that, but Agassi's as well, what I based it on. Agassi's backhand return, Rios' talent, Tommy Haas being, always so mad and whinging so much and things. Just the way he was able to reel off these guys and knowing them. I'm starting to believe that for Bollettieri, a lot of it for him and a lot of his success will have came from listening, like he did say, but also actually just positive vibes. He's so positive. The guy is so positive and just, doesn't take no crap from anyone, and just that aura. I think you just want to work for him, and you want to, and he just speaks and you listen, kind of thing. So I think that's a lot of where he maybe has had his success. Maybe not technically necessarily, because again, not just his. I don't think he has much of a playing background. But yeah. Anyway, again, for the 100th, I think, a A tough one. I enjoy all the podcasts, to be fair. I would have actually possibly preferred the one that's coming maybe next week, which would be Louis Kaye, the doubles, maybe to be the 100th. I think he'll be great, and obviously with the British doubles connection doing such a good job, I think he'll be fantastic. I'd be very surprised. I think that'll be up there as one of the better ones coming up, so maybe he could have done not a better job, but obviously Bollettieri's a name, and just you can't, like you say, his track record speaks for himself. Just a quick anecdote on Bollettieri's. I was lucky enough, God, how old am I now? About 15, 14 years ago, to go to Bradenton as more of a coach with my brother, who was also a tennis coach, and we were there with a player and her family, and they used to go there most summers to do like a few weeks training, so very kindly offered us to go out there. And just a quick one on it. Bollettieri, like I say, he has time for everybody. He will speak to everybody. I think he wakes up, I don't know if he does anymore, but he wakes up 4 a.m. every morning. He's at the courts by 6. Every morning he's there. It isn't just a show. He is there. What I will say is, when I say it isn't just a show, there is the Bollettieri show. So what I found funny is me and my brother were sat there, obviously kind of knowing a bit about tennis and being, a decent player myself at the time, still just about. And my brother having worked with some good players and working with this girl who we were there with. The parents line up along the courts go out like that, and the parents line up along the bench. Bollettieri stands there, and he has his hitters, obviously, because he isn't able to hit, and physically he isn't able to run around the court. Fair enough, obviously. But yeah, and he has his, like I say, he has his hitters and things, and basically he just does a show for the parents. And it's 6 months. I can't do an American accent, but 6 months ago, this girl couldn't hit a forehand. Look at her now, and watch this. Look how she spins the ball. 6 months ago, this girl was could do nothing. Look at her, and all the parents are clapping and getting so excited. So it is a bit of a theatre. It is a bit of a show, but obviously he is a showman as well, so you can imagine it. But yeah, we had to chuckle to ourselves, and obviously he did actually do a lesson with the girl we're there with, and he was talking about things, and as you can imagine, as coaches, and I was just starting up my coaching but helping with this particular player, it was, hang on, we've been working with her on this for like a year, like she knows how to do this, and it was the show for the parent, all the other parents are up and yes, and loving it, and me and my brother are obviously singing to ourselves, and afterwards we're going, but we've told you this, so, and the player was like, the girl was like, yeah, I know that, I know, it's so, and I think that cost about $450 for that 1 hour anyway, but yeah, Dan does a great job, and I think he did a great job. I think it'll probably be one of his tougher ones, because you just have to let him speak, and he kind of repeats a little bit, obviously, but some great insight, obviously, and he's a massive name, and I still have my Nick Bollettieri with Agassi video from like 1994 or something, or whatever, or 5, that I used to use in the training. It was a video, not a DVD, that's how long ago it was. So yeah, anyway, but the guy, like I say, ain't crazy. But if you do listen to it, see how many times he says baby, see if anyone can let me know that, how many times he used the phrase baby at the end of a sentence. Anyway, yeah, good one, and like I say, get into it. It's a good, like I say, if you players, parents all want to listen, listen to get as many of them as you can. It's very good education. So my other point I was going to make or talk about today was Andy, basically, Sir Andy Murray. I've been lucky enough to have watched probably 5 of his last 6 matches. So the Challenger in Biella, which in Italy, and the match at Montpellier. Didn't actually see. I have seen a highlight pack. I saw all the second set, but which maybe wasn't the best. But I didn't see the first. But I obviously followed the score, and then I saw the highlights afterwards. Let's get one thing straight here. You won't find probably a bigger Murray fan than myself. So lucky to have shared a court with him, known him, travelled abroad with him to some events as a junior. Remember, this is 15 and under, by the way. Yeah, so extremely lucky. One, for me, he is in the he is in that conversation of top 4. He is, Federer, Nadal, Djokovic, whatever order you want to put that in. Murray for me. Maybe that's biased. Maybe people argue that, but just again, there is no debating that the guy is incredible. He's obviously 3 Grand Slams, 2 Wimbledons, which is incredible considering that's in your home country as well. Remember, the rest of the guys have never had to play in their home country. Yeah. So Nadal being Spanish, obviously there's no Spanish Grand Slam. Djokovic Serbian, there's no Serbian Grand Slam. Federer Swiss, there's no Swiss Grand Slam. So there is a different sort of pressure winning twice in front of your home fans, and Henman will know all about that as somebody who probably should have won 1 and was very unlucky not to have. But the pressure and look at people in French, the French players in France. Mauresmo choking quite a lot of the time the French Open. So that is nigh on double for me as a Grand Slam. But anyway, 2 Olympics, didn't single-handedly win the Davis Cup. That's disrespectful to the other players. But if he wasn't in the team, we wouldn't have won the Davis Cup. Let's make sure of that, okay? Because pretty much every tie we had going forward, he was guaranteeing us 2 singles wins. He was that good at the time. And when he fell up to it, he was winning a doubles match as well, jumping in and winning doubles, so sometimes 3 points for us. So let's be clear, he didn't carry, but without him we don't win the Davis Cup. So Davis Cup winner, obviously for Great Britain, which is incredible for us. Like I say, 4, I think it's 4 if not 5 Grand Slams made outside of that as well. And world number 1, so consistent throughout. So he is in that conversation. Whether people say, 18, 19, all right, he stopped in 2017, bad injury. That would have been another 3/4 years. So let's say 12 to 15 more Grand Slams, and he would have been competitive if he'd been fully fit in every one of those. I reckon he'd take home 3 of those minimum, personally. He could have taken home another 1 or 2 Wimbledons easily, but US Open, Aussie Open, maybe not the French. Again, he did make the semis mind that time. He's getting better on the clay, but yeah, I think he takes home at least another 3 anyway. So, but for me, it becomes part of that question because those guys were already established and were so good. So, like I say, you won't find a bigger fan. But having said that, I want to try and be honest and just try and let's be clear on this as well. Andy is not playing these days. He is not playing if he doesn't believe that he can compete back at the top level. He is not out there training his backside off, travelling to Italy for a challenger and all of that if he doesn't think he can get back to a top level. I don't think he plays. He's playing for love of the game, absolutely, of course, but he isn't playing to be world number 82, personally. He is playing to be able to second weeks of Grand Slams, deep in tournaments, compete at ATP events, compete at Masters. Let's be clear on that. Otherwise, he doesn't need to do this. So he will know this ahead of me, certainly. But let's be clear. He isn't just playing. And when people go, why is he still playing? All right. Let's also look at this week as well. He played Gerasimov. He made the final of the first challenge and played Gerasimov this week. Gerasimov he lost 7-6, 6-1 again. Could have won the first set. He had a couple of set points, but Gerasimov has just beaten alias Bedene, who again was trying to be British a few years ago, is now back to Slovenia, he's just won, so he's in the next round, who first round beat Yannick Sinner. Again, see where Yannick Sinner is in a couple of years, maybe even towards the end of this year. He will be deep competing, he'll be a top 10er, I'm pretty sure, I'm nigh on guaranteeing that. And competing for Grand Slams, if not winning Grand Slams. So, let's put it in perspective here. It was not a terrible loss. Whether you want to go on that loss that Gerasimov had to Karatsev at the Aussie Open, well, that scoreline says to me he wasn't trying personally, or he's been injured, or he tanked. It does happen in tennis, unfortunately. There's a lot of that, unfortunately. So, yeah, don't read too much into that loss, certainly. But going forward, in my opinion, from 4 years ago when Murray was at the peak, I believe that tennis has moved on again. I think Djokovic will admit that himself, probably. It's moved on physically, and it's moved on with how hard these guys are hitting the ball. Okay? So, personally, you've gone from Andy being the number, for me, joint maybe, but number 2 mover in the world. Second best mover in the world, if not, some would argue the best. Definitely the best anticipation in my opinion. But second best mover behind Djokovic, I would say. I know Nadal, and you could argue, but okay, top 4 mover, but up there, best mover on grass, by the way, incredible mover on grass. To now being, all these guys are so physically good. I would argue that Murray is now, he could be anywhere between 100 and 300 in the world movement now. So think of how far that has dropped, and it's going to be very tough for him to get back that speed and that because where he was so good with it. Remember, I'll get up now to do this. The explosiveness on the return, he was brilliant at, and that changed direction. But he's got a metal hip, remember, guys. So it's going to be very tough for him to get back to that. So he's gone from that, and also, like I said, these guys are all hitting the ball so hard now, and in my personal opinion, and I know you'll have heard this so often, and he will have heard this, and I think Lendl got the best out of him. Mark Petchey alludes to it on the podcast without kind of saying it. He wanted his game at a younger age to go a certain direction if he wanted to beat these guys at the top level, which blatantly obvious was saying he needs to be more aggressive. For Andy to compete now, and with his movement, remember, because although he had a weak second serve back in the day, and it was maybe his biggest weakness, he was so quick in behind it, it almost didn't matter because he was back to 50-50 in the point, and then he would outlast these guys. So now rolling in that second serve, these guys are getting on all over his second serve, And if these guys hit their spots on their serve, they're getting a lot of aces and a lot of free points against him. So he's fighting an uphill struggle. And when you watch him, I still think, unfortunately, because he's such a good player and has been such a good player, he's still playing very passive because he was the best defender in the world, probably, or second best in the world, or right up there. So just, again, he will know this, but too passive, and these guys are able to dominate in the middle of the court, and he just doesn't have that explosive speed necessarily to stay in the point for longer. So going forward, he's going to have to take more risks on his second serve, in my opinion, by the way. He's going to have to take risks on return of serve, and he's going to have to hold a higher position on the court and get in and finish more at the net. Now, he has been doing this in some events, and then just watching him the other night, it felt very passive. Maybe he's just trying to get some balls struck and isn't too concerned about winning or losing at the minute. This guy is good enough. He's an absolute legend, in my opinion. He's good enough to do it. So he'll know it, but that is my personal opinion. My worry would be, maybe he is I know for a fact he's very stubborn. And it's like anybody, he will believe that he can still do it, maybe playing exactly the way he wants to play, rather than potentially the way he should be looking to play. Look at the pace on Djokovic's ball. I think Djokovic has upped his pace in the last 2-3 years by a mile, personally. And I've watched him practice up close, and the sound and the pace of the ball it's up from what it was, in my opinion. So these guys are all adapting. Federer had to hit over his backhand more, had to get that bigger headed racket because he was shanking too much. You know, these guys are making more play. All of these things that people have to adapt. Nadal has to do it, has to hit through the court a bit more. And these guys have to do it because not just the standards get better, but these guys hitting the ball harder and they're more physical. So he's going to have to try and adapt if he wants to be able to compete at that level. So that is my opinion. Andy, I'd love you to watch this and, hit me up on Twitter or whatever, or, and I'll happily discuss it with you. I'm sure you won't want to hear it from me. And also, by the way, more than happy to be your hitter. Just saying, if you need like a yes man who can be your hitter, who will and be a mate for you, I'll happily do that and travel the world with you and keep giving my little opinions and things. Maybe you just need a different perspective. So I'm putting Galps up there. Let's get Galps coaching Murray. Let's get him on the road. But yeah, so like I say, he'll know all this. But like I said, I think if you watch him, that is what he's going to have to do going forward. So. Hope you kind of enjoyed that. It's a little bit of reflection, really. One thing, I'm going to do a video tomorrow, but what I would love is, in this time, if anybody's got time, would be requests. So the requests could be specific shot, could be specific skill, I suppose, could be just my opinion on a player. It could be anything, just an idea maybe. If anybody has any requests of something, it could be a court position, so I can maybe not draw court, but I can sort a couple of things out. Court position for doubles maybe, court position when returning, court position when your partner's serving in doubles, court position when your partner's returning in doubles, anything like that I would happily do. So if there are any requests, I'll happily do a video on that. Going forward, I'll be doing that more. So yeah, if there's anything, like I say, just let me know. Maybe make a comment under one of these videos, or you can contact me on Twitter or whatever. That'd be great. I'll be more than happy to do that. So yeah, anyway, and like I say, please let's try and get Galps to 100. I do think there's a lot of educational things in here, and like I say, going forward, this is only going to get bigger. I've been contacting a few people around. This is only going to get bigger. Obviously, when we get back on court, I will be doing some on-court stuff, certainly my days off and things, try and do a couple a week, and lots of content for you. So there is lots to learn here. And to finish with, so let's hope this goes right. It might not, but I'll give myself a few goes anyway. Very simple, fun skill. Anytime you do skills, try and do them correctly. So palm under the racket, so it's chopper grip, palm under the racket, open the strings, rather than what a lot of kids do is like that, which is not what you want to do. I suppose if you're practicing your backhand volley, but even then, they're going frying pan, you don't want a frying pan grip on the racket. So chopper, open from there to do tap-ups. Okay, it's good skills because it works along your volleys as you get older. Adults have a go at this as well. Let's see. Right, so you're going to tap up, okay, and then with whether it's 4 or 5, as many as you want, you're going to hit one up and you're going to try and get the ball to balance on your neck, okay? And then if you can, you're then going to, this is what I'm going to try and do, I'm going to try and roll it down and balance it back on the racket to finish. So I'm going to give myself a couple of goes. Honestly, in rehearsal I did this first time, but the pressure will get to me, I'm sure. Right, and if anyone does this, you're a legend. Are we ready? So let's do it. So tap up, okay? I'm concentrating the ball, I'm not going to look at the camera. Up. Oh, it just came off, so let's go again. Got it. Got it. There you go. And that was not cheating, I promise. And where is it? There you go. Done. So that's bye-bye from me. I'm happy doing that in 2. I'll take that all day long. So have a go at that for a bit of fun at home. Do it from the chair, up off the chair, balance on your neck. like I said, any requests, let me know. Have a great Thursday. Let's get Galps up there, get Galps to 100. Like I said, I'll be doing an interactive tennis lesson if I get to 100. See you guys. Have a great Thursday. Bye.